Hi everybody, my name is Pulkit Chabda. In this video, we'll be discussing the next problem of the ongoing series in which we are actually discussing the problems of Code Forces round 87. And the problem that we are discussing in this video is C1, which is simple polygon embedding. The only difference between the simple and not so simple is just the parity of n, and in the C1 the parity is even and in C2 it's odd. So the approaches that I actually used to solve these two problems were very different, so I'll be discussing them in a different, I'll be discussing C2 in a different video. So let's discuss C1 for now. The problem says that you are given a regular polygon with 2n vertices. Note that it's 2n and not n, and the polygon is convex, has equal sides and equal angles, and all of its sides have length 1. Okay, so let's name it as 2n gon. Just make sure that you read it carefully, that it's a 2n gon and not an n gon. Our task is to find the square of the minimum size such that we can embed to the 2n gon in that square. Embedding 2n gon in the square basically means that you need to place 2n gon in the square in such a way that each point which lies inside or on the border of the 2n gon should also lie inside or on a border of the square. I hope it is pretty much clear by itself. You can give it one more read if you want to. I'll just move on. You can rotate the twin gon, and or you can also rotate the square. Okay, so we'll have multiple test cases, and the number of test cases can be up to 200. And the next t lines in the input will basically be the test cases itself themselves. In each line will have one single integer, single even integer, single positive integer, positive in even integer, I'm sorry, which can be from 2 to 200. And don't forget that we need to embed 2n gon and not an n gon. Okay, so we'll print the minimum size that is required for each value of n, and the relative error should not exceed 10 raised to power minus 6. Okay, so yeah, let's discuss the solution. You can see here that for the value of 2, we know that it's going to be a square of side 1, so the answer will be 1 itself for that particular test case. I hope it's clear. Yeah, so and now I'll be discussing a more general case. Yeah, a more general case. Let's say we have the value of n as n, so we'll be having 2n sides, right? So what I'll be doing is, we know that that 2n is basically a multiple of 4, right? Because n is multiple of 2, then 2n is a multiple of 4. That's the information that we are given in the question. So if it's a multiple of 4, it means that the sides can actually be divided into 4 somehow. I'll just explain you what I mean when I say this. What I'm trying to say here is that it's a gut feeling, and it's something that you can see by symmetry, that if I draw the 2 and gone like this, let's say I'm drawing it for the case when the value of n equals to 4, which means that the value of 2n equals to 8. So let's draw it like this. Okay, now here what I have is, I have two horizontal sides here and two vertical sides here, and 2n minus 4 sides are basically embedded between the adjacent pairs of the vertical and horizontal sides. So basically between this and this side, we'll have 2n minus 4 by 4 sides. We know that 2n minus 4 is also going to be a multiple of 4, right? And here we'll also have 2n minus 4 by 4, 2n minus 4 by 4, and 2n minus 4 by 4 sides. I'm just saying that you can draw it here for any value of even n. This is just the case I've drawn for n equals to 4. So what I'm saying is, the square that will basically give us the answer will look something like this. Pardon the not so straight lines. Okay, so yeah, and if I was to draw and a 12 gone, it would have looked something like this, two sides in between, right? I hope the idea is clear, that the sides will, the number of sides between the pair of the horizontal and vertical sides will vary according to the value of n, but the general structure that we'll have will look like this, that the two horizontal ones will align with the horizontal sides of the square, and the two vertical ones will align with the vertical sides of the square, right? Now coming to the original question, we need to calculate the side of the square. Let's say this is the center of the square as well as the twin gon. They're going to be the same. We can tell it by symmetry. Also, we know that the uh, twin gon is uniform. So yeah, let's say this is the center. Now if we make triangles, triangles in the manner as I'm saying, let's join the center with each of the vertex of the 2n-gon. If we do it like this and draw, keep on joining each of them, we'll have 2n triangles. 1 2 3 4. I hope you can see that we'll have 2n triangles. Now what I'm interested in is this angle theta. I'm not drawing it right now because I'm actually not interested in theta. I'm interested in theta by 2. Okay, so this angle, what I'm saying is, we know that this whole angle will be 360 degree, right? And 360 degree basically means 2 pi, and we are dividing it into 2n because if we draw these congruent 2n triangles, the angle will be divided by into 2n, so divided by 2n, so this full angle is going to be pi by n. And if I talk about this half angle, if I basically draw down the height thing, this half angle theta, if I call it theta, this theta is going to be pi by 2n, right? 2 pi by 2n by 2, so it means it's going to be pi by 2n. Now this is something that can be very simply used to calculate our side value. Let's say the side is a, we know that this whole thing is going to be a, so this thing is going to be a by 2, right? Because this is the center, and we know that this side is 1, so this half side is going to be half. Now by the definition of tan theta, we know that tan theta is perpendicular over base. So in this case, if we consider this theta, tan theta is going to be equals to half over a by 2. So if we cancel out these two, we know that 1 by a is going to be equal to tan theta. So I can just say that my value of a equals to 1 by tan theta, where the value of theta is simply pi by 2. As simple as that. I hope the solution is clear. It was simple trigonometry. If you have some problem understanding this, I recommend you read something about tan theta, and yeah, just tan theta you need. I hope you must be pretty familiar with this with these things. So I'll be writing down the code now. Let's just copy the test cases. Yeah, so number of test cases will be t. I need the value of pi, or I can just say in double pi equals to 3.14. I don't really remember the rest of the digits, so let's just Google value of pi. Approximately nahi chahiye. Okay, this should do, maybe. Okay, this will do. I'm just copying the first few digits. Okay, got it. So yeah, for each test case I'll get n. I know that the value of my theta, not double, the theta value is going to be pi by 2.0 into n. That's what we discussed, right? Pi by 2n. And I know that my value of answer equals to 1 by tan theta, right? That's it. Tan is actually an inbuilt function. I'm hoping that it must be existing. Okay, one more mistake. It's not double, it's int. Oh, sorry, it's not int, it's double. That's my answer. That's what my answer is. So I just say cout set precision answer comma 6. This ps is basically defined here above, which basically sets the precision of a double value to y. Fixed set precision y x. That's how we write it. I just defined it to save some time. Okay, so let's try and run it for the sample test cases. 1 2.4142 seems about correct. Then 127.3213, 127.3213. Yeah, that's it. So let's just try and submit the code. Okay, C1, submit, accepted. Yeah, I hope the approach was clear. It was simple to understand according to me. If something is still unclear, you can drop down a comment. I'll definitely try to help you out. So this was it for this video, guys. See you guys in the next one. Thank you.